Mushrooms. Okay, so psilocybin. So there are clinical trials showing that macrodose psilocybin, so we're talking massive dose that puts people into a highly hallucinogenic state.
How many grams is that?
We're like 1 to 5. They stimulate high release of serotonin, among other things, but at the macrodose, used once or twice in a therapeutic setting, can really help people move through depression and trauma and maybe even eating disorders and maybe some other things too.
Wow.
It seems to create some sort of opportunity for learning new relationships between things. Like if you're somebody who's always felt like you were going to fail in life, or you couldn't get over a loss or a death or a relationship, like it does allow people somehow to imagine new possibilities. In fact, 66% of people that in those trials found lasting relief, years or more.
Now, as the magic mushroom god, I'm going to piggyback off of what he was saying. Psilocybin decreases activity in the part of your brain called the default mode network, which is a downregulated, tightly linked set of structures connecting the prefrontal cortex to the posterior cingulate cortex and other deeper, older centers of emotion and memory. It's involved in self-reflection, theory of mind, and mental time travel. The ability to project yourself forward and backwards in time. What was I doing yesterday? What was I doing 5 years ago? What am I going to be doing next year? And this is vital for your brain to form the identity that is you. So your autobiographical memory, the function that allows you to take your experiences and construct them into a story you call your life. It's active when you're not doing anything or when you're not focused on the outside world. This is where self-doubt and self-criticism take place. So the idea of yourself regulates all your mental activity. A trip is a temporary rewiring of your brain minus the regulator. Now, this is amazing for jugging the brain out of redundant and negative patterns. So here's some good news if the idea of taking mushrooms makes you uncomfortable. Virtually any experience you have on psychedelics you can have sober, because all psychedelics do is exert an influence on the existing neurochemistry of the brain. It's not causing your brain to do something it can't do on its own. Neuroanatomically, the brain underneath the influence of psilocybin is incredibly similar to the brain in a deep state of meditation. Mushrooms increase the strength of your senses, and it decreases connections responsible for how you understand signals from your environment. This causes an altered state of consciousness. This is what causes a mystical experience. When you have a mystical moment, you're literally pulling information from the quantum field, from God, and all of this information is relevant to you. You're moving into brainwave states that are so elegant, coherent, and supernatural that the probability of that happening randomly throughout your life it's damn near impossible. This causes a disconnection from the outer world. The neocortex slows down its brainwaves and you move from beta into alpha. This is you getting beyond your analytical mind. When you move into alpha, there's a sense of euphoric wholeness. When this happens, cerebrospinal fluid or kundalini energy moves from the lower centers up into the brain. That causes the sympathetic to synchronize with the parasympathetic nervous system. But the lambic gate opens up. The energy moves into the pineal gland. There it gets compressed, turned into DMT. You start seeing God. Follow me and sub to my YouTube.